going on, guys? Welcome back to Hippo Supercoach, and tonight let's go over the first few practice matches we've had. So obviously the first one, Hawthorn versus Collingwood. I actually watched all of practically all these games. I think I missed a bit of the Freo Port one, but yeah, I can safely say I watched the majority of all these games. So I do have the eye test as well as the scores, so we'll go through them just quickly. So DeGoey went 120. Do I think he's relevant? Probably not, but he did look great in that mid-only role. I think we need to wait and hope he gets DPP. Starting him just seems a bit too risky for me. Mitchell was good, but I still don't think he'll be a top 8 mid, unfortunately. Just didn't use it that well at times. He still slammed it on the boot, and still a few, like a fair few handballs too many for my liking. So yeah, probably not one I'd start, Tom Mitchell. Warper 101, so this is an interesting one, and I think he has to come into contention. I'm going to give you guys my team reveal at the end of this, after this, and I can assure you things have changed. But yeah, so Warple, I think we have to consider him, purely because he only has to average 83 to make 150k, and I think by all reports his body is right. He looked really good in the midfield. He looked like he had something to prove. Apparently he was playing forward in that last quarter, so maybe just to rest him, get him prepared for the real stuff. I don't know. So this guy Mackenzie, he is an absolute beast. I actually thought he was the best on for Hawthorn today. Plenty of CBAs. I don't know how he hasn't really been in the talks in the Supercoach community. It's really weird because he looked so good, and I hope it's not like Josh Ward where he does trap us. It could be, because we all thought Ward was going to be great last year or the year before whenever he was a rookie. But yeah, so Mackenzie I really like the look of. 180k mid, has to come in. Absolutely has to come in. Just looked way too good. So Sicily scored 100. Now I was big on Sicily. Right now I don't actually have him. It could change, no doubt, but I think Sicily played a really poor game and still scored 100. So if you do have him, I wouldn't be too alarmed. Newcomb 95, I just don't think he's going to be a top 8 mid, and at that price you're picking him for that. Cameron 94, if he didn't have Mason Cox in the team, he would be the biggest lock ever, but unfortunately they're giving Cox majority of that ruck split, which is super frustrating because Cameron's a beast. I really reckon he could have gone like 115 plus without Cox. He's just so good around the ground, clunks big pack marks, but yeah, no, we can't start him, I don't think. Will Day, so he was good. He had a fair few CBAs, so one definitely to consider. Yeah, I don't have him at the moment, but he's definitely one to consider. And then Green. Who is Green? Green from... Oh, yeah, right. The Hawthorn. Yeah, okay. So he scored 79. I think he kicked a few goals, though, so his role is pretty bad for Supercoach. He's going to be a bit like Kaczynski, I think, from a few years back. But I think maybe an F8, you probably have to pick him because he's probably going to have decent job security. And then 73 for Nick Dacos, so I thought he did pretty well to get to 73. He got the absolute hard tag. It's pretty crazy for a practice match, someone to get tagged that hard, especially a halfback. I like, come on. But I guess that's how it goes, really. Do I think he'll be tagged every week? Probably not, but I do think that if a team's going to tag Collingwood, they're going to Dacos. It seems like everyone knows he's quite damaging, and you know, if he runs free, he will hurt you. So you probably do have to tag him at times, but it still is stiff for a second-year player. So don't know what to do about Nick Dacos. I wouldn't start him. I did say it was a trap. I didn't necessarily mean it was a trap for the tag reason. It was more the role, but obviously the tag reason was still valid. Anyway, I think we don't need to talk about that game anymore. Let's get on to the next one. So thanks to this Twitter page, by the way, Nerds for Life. They're super quick on the scores. I wanted to pump out a video just before I go to bed discussing everything, and while everything's fresh in my mind. Let's jump into the Freo Port game. So Darcy went 128. Another interesting one, but I think it's got a little bit of trap written over it. And reason being, obviously no Jackson, and Freo's, I don't know if it was one of the Freo coaches, I'm not sure if it was the head coach or not, but they basically came out and said that Darcy is going to not always be that number one ruckman. It'll depend on a week-to-week basis. So long term, I don't like the idea of that. Would I still, like, I think he's pickable, definitely pickable, but for me, I'd just rather Wits. I think he's a little bit safer, um, and he's got really no one to fight for that ruck spot. So yeah, don't like the inconsistency of Darcy's role, but he did look very good and he tackled really well. Brennan Cox 128, he would be a trap. I don't think he's worth talking about. Brody 117, so it was just another good Will Brody game. 88 from 5, a little bit interesting. I think he kicked 3 or 4 goals, so I could see why people would pick him, but I just think you really need him to kick goals. And obviously he's a Jet and whatnot, but I think there's some better options for the same price in the forward line. We'll get to them in a second. Brayshaw 85, so I think he had like 35 touches and scored 85, so he is a big no-no in my opinion. I do not like the Andrew Brayshaw pick whatsoever. For some reason, Champion Data hate him. Someone will probably know why he scored so poorly. I don't know, but yeah. Sarong's not really too relevant. Maybe he's a pod. Don't think he's worth picking though. Young 79, Sturt 80. So Young, I think Young is just an absolute trap. Well, he's not even really a trap because he doesn't even look good. So don't know. So Bergman 119. This is a very interesting one. The price is awkward, 370k, but he looked unreal. Like you could tell straight away, he's bulked up over the off season, and his role is amazing. He's playing that wing role, looks really good, really clean with the ball. Kicked a nice long goal, I think. He's obviously not gonna be a top 8 mid, but I don't think. But he's very tempting. But I just think there's a few other mid prices that have slightly better roles and slightly cheaper that I would pick over him. But wow, he looked unreal, and I love the role he's playing. And that's one thing about these guys. It's not like a Brennan Cox where they've had like a massive role change. Sorry, like, you know, where they haven't had a role change and they've just had like a fluke game. They're actually showing, these players that I'm considering as mid prices actually are showing that they have the role to maintain that scoring. If they don't have that role and they've just kicked like 3 or 4 goals, like 5, then it's a bit of a trap. But this is where people can get trapped into the preseason beasts. Rosie, so my opinion on him has changed. I think he is definitely worth picking, and I think he'll probably start in my team. Reason being is the role he had this week was completely different to the role he had last week. He was in just about every single CBA. He looked very clean with the ball, and I think he didn't need many touches to score a pretty high score. So I think Rosie, yeah, you're probably pretty comfortable picking him. I'd probably take him over Cogs at this point just because of that 50k that free up, and maybe slightly more upside. Obviously, we still have Boak to come back in the team, but I checked. Boak only had 3 CBAs the week before that, so it looks like they are trusting Rosie now. And for whatever reason, in the practice match last week, they didn't want to play him too much in the mid. I think like 50%. So I don't know what they're doing, but I think, yeah, you have to go off tonight. He looked really good, so happy to eat my words a bit there. I don't think I was necessarily wrong going off what information we had, but yeah, no, I'm happy to pick Rosie. Desmond 84, not relevant. 70 Horn Francis, don't like the pick at all. 67 Butters, looks like he's playing a bit more forward, and Lysette had 41, which is quite pathetic. He got destroyed by Darcy. So let's get into this one now. This is interesting. So Dunkley 142, probably biggest lock in Supercoach history, just about. Also a captain option. One thing we are forgetting is when we are picking captains, we can select Josh Dunkley. The role, that midfield role is clearly there. How does Jared Berry come back affect that? I think there's another mid that I missed. They were missing tonight. But I think Neil and Dunkley are the two ones that they will cement in that midfield. And then McCluggages and Bruins and where is Ashcroft? Okay, so Ashcroft's not here. But yeah, McCluggage, McCluggage and Ashcroft and Bailey's all sort of rotate after that. So let me just quickly get up Will Ashcroft's score. Not that he's really too relevant, but he actually scored he scored 96. So thought he played really well, especially in the 4th quarter. Worked really hard, got a lot of uncontested as well. So yeah, so Neil 118, very happy with him. Obviously he didn't, it's not the best score, but he was just cruising along. He didn't really try too hard, you could tell. I think he only laid 1 tackle. So yeah, I'm very confident in my Neil pick still, and it looks like Neil will be my M1. Tanner Bruin 113. I think he might be a lock. One is a jet, and two, his role is insanely good. Like, I think he's the highest CBA player for Geelong in the first practice match, and it looked like he was in that game. Obviously, we haven't seen the stats yet, but he looked unreal. He was just breaking out of packs like it was nothing, and yeah, really, really good. Bailey, I don't think it's too relevant. Guthrie, maybe. He's a bit of a grub to Ashcroft's at the end. Stewart 91, it's not great, I guess, but I still think he's a safe pick. He was just cruising along as well. Wilmot 53, and McKenna 53. I mean, it's okay. I don't know about their job security. Radaglia 50 is not ideal either, so probably don't want Radaglia on the field, but I think he has got money to make. So let's get into my team update, and boom, this is it. So Stewart and Dawson, D1, D2, and we're actually going to change this because I want Sicily instead. Again, I thought he played really bad and still turned up, so happy with the Sicily pick. And I think the Stewart pick is still a good pick, but from now I'm just rather Sicily and Dawson. This team could definitely change. I mean, we've only seen 3 games out of however many we're going to see over this weekend, so yeah, team's definitely subject to change. I think we all know that at this point. Dawson, we already know about Dawson, Yo, Gimby, McKenna, Wilmot. Yeah, they're all good. So the main changes I have put in is Warple. Actually, I think I have a quite different team to the last video. So I've got Neil at M1. I just think he's going to start very hot, and I've got a gut feeling he won't get tagged. Jack Steele, we obviously know with him the upside's there, and it's just too cheap to pass up. His floor is very high, sorry. So can't really go wrong with Steele. Tom Green, he has to break out. I think this is the year. Obviously, he's got the CBAs now. Hopper's got CBAs. Sheed's got CBAs. So those guys, I think, only have to average about 85 to make 150k, which I think they both can do comfortably. I think they'll probably do like more closer to 90, to be honest, with the amount of CBAs they're going to get. And obviously, they're capable scorers. They've proven scorers in the past, so not worried about them. Warple's another one that has proven he is capable of scoring well. Had a few niggles over the last few years, so happy to pick Warple. Only needs to average the 83 to make 150k, which I think he does with his eyes closed just about, as long as he keeps that role he currently has. Ashcroft's a jet, and Connor McKenzie, is it? Cam McKenzie, sorry. Yeah, absolute must-have. M8 is perfect for him. I think if he keeps that role, I think he can average 80 plus, which would be huge. Will Phillips on the bench, Sin, Wagner, they're placeholders for now. I've got plenty of money in the bank, so if I need a couple more expensive rookies, we can change that. So Rucks, Jared, Witts, and Ron Marshall. So I had R2 Galea, but I just think it's a little bit too risky. The role's there, but I don't know. He's a bit clumsy, so I thought he'd be more like Paddy McCartan in terms of how he score, and he still could be, but it's not really something I'd like to take the risk on. And the job security, I don't think, is there. We don't know about Jack Henry coming back, so we have to wait and see about all that. So I think I'd just rather have him on the bench and have him as a slow money maker, I guess. So Dunkley, obviously unreal tonight. Rosie had the midfield role that I was worried about. It looks like they're actually prioritising him in that midfield rotation, which is all I needed to see, really. Good price as well. Taranto, 503k. Too much upside. Zeeble I've got in still. I think he's almost guaranteed to make 150k. Has to average about 85, I think. Just got a great role, and we know he is a stat pad, and he's done it before in that role. And then Tanner Bruin, so I think, like I said before, he looked absolutely unreal. Not really someone that was in my thoughts, if I'm being perfectly honest, but he really surprised me. Like, the eye test was completely perfect. He looked unreal out there on the field. And one thing to note is he was probably going against one of the best midfields in the competition, if not the best. So yeah, Tanner Bruin, absolute gun, and I think he is their best midfielder. Well, he definitely was tonight. So yeah, absolute superstar Tanner Bruin. I think he could possibly be a top 6, top 8 forward. Obviously, it's jumping the gun a bit considering he averaged like 57 last season, but the CBAs just weren't there. Now he's got the CBAs, and he really looks in ripping form, honestly. And Toby McLean at F6, Philippou and McAndrew. So that's the team. Hope you guys enjoyed the practice matches. Let me know what trades you made. I'm sure there was plenty of changing. I reckon I changed my team probably 20 or 30 times as the practice matches were going on tonight. So yeah, I'm happy with this structure, and it sounds crazy having what, like 4 300k. We've got 2 300ks on the forward, one on the back, and then what, 3 on the midfield. So if we're going off previous seasons, that is not the way to play. But I think every year is different, and the value's too good. They've all got the roles from what we know so far. Unless a drastic coaching change, I don't think this is a bad structure. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.